Looks like Nathaniel's got a gear going bad. All right, we're about to go green again. Got a car there off on red and a big hit by a red car there. Don't know who that is right now. I'll learn these cars eventually. Eddie Burton. He hit solid there on Dead Man's Corner. Looks like Tim Hall came off there with Nathaniel Burton. Tim Hall out in the lead, defending his win from last week. Looks like Bo there on purple lane really driving it hard. Ooh, we got a big wad up there on the high bank corner. Tim Hall was involved in that wreck, and Glenn Burden, it looks like. Glenn fixing his braid. Possibly the end of his guide flag there might be bent down after a hit like that. Either way, just trying to get her bent back to normal. Looks like Bo came off there on purple. Collected two other cars. Looks like Paul Woosley and Jason Howard were collected in that wreck. They're on the higher lane, so that tends to happen quite frequently, especially in Dead Man's Corner. Another hard hit there in the high banks. I think that might be Glenn's car again. Yep, they're on red lane having some, that was Jason Howard's car. Seems to be having some issues there on the higher lanes. Bad luck there for Jason Howard there in dead man's corner as Nathaniel comes off and gets collected in Jason's lane. Pretty good neck-to-neck racing in orange and green there. There's a little tap happened there, and guy ended up on green lane there. Dumped off in dead man's corner, uh, Jason Howard. Ooh, we got a gear out from somebody. They're saying that's Jason's gear that was squealing like that. Currently, Tim Hall in the lead with 41 laps, followed closely by Bowl with 36, Nathaniel Burden with 35, Eddie Burden with 35. Close race there with Paul Woosley with 35 also. All three of these guys really, really close in succession with each other. Jason Howard, 32 laps on red. Not too bad. Glenn Burden with 30 laps on red. Excuse me, Jason Howard on white with 32 laps. Average laps actually pretty close with Paul Woosley and Eddie Burden on some of the middle lanes, which is kind of surprising being that they're on the higher lanes. So might be some issues there possibly with their cars not hooking up, or it could just be wrecks have been taking place so often that maybe they're getting collected up in it. I know Eddie, the last time he raced here, he was on blue lane and he collected quite a few people on blue lane, and that's actually abnormal on a tri-oval to collect so many wrecks on a blue lane, because usually the wrecks are collected on white, red, and black. Looks like maybe Jason's having some issues there. He's talking about his car there to my brother. Can't really get a good listen to what they're talking about. Talking about his gear, so I'm guessing he was the one that had the slip gear. Issue is though, whenever you got those really big slipped gears like that, you hear them squeal like that. Sometimes you can save them, kind of tighten them up a little bit, put just a little bit of play in them. That's the way you want it, so it meshes up really good. But sometimes you can save them. But if you keep just battering down the hatches and just hammering it home and making it squeal every time, you'll eventually strip that whole crown gear out, and then it's useless. Glenn coming off there in a crook on red lane. Seems to be, if you keep a look out for Bo here on purple, running a meeting of 1.96, and Tim Hall running a meeting of 1.95 on average, how many laps that they're running. Pretty relatively close speed wise. And it could just be the difference between the skill gap between the two racers. As Bo just now starting slot car racing, but Tim, a veteran, longtime veteran. But I will say this: every one of these racers so far running pretty close to each other, with average laps looking about average. But one thing I would like to focus mainly on is that Purple Lane with 58 laps and Tim Hall's with 63. Even though they both turn relatively the same amount of average mean time, you can see that less laps were turned under Bow, which is kind of abnormal being it's a shorter lane. But we'll see how it progresses as we get more data in here on the track mate as we continue racing, as they take a 3-minute intermission to fix their cars.
It's not like you worked hard today or anything.
All right, we're back under green. I hear a bad squeal from another gear right there. Whew. You hate to hear it. Bring your attention to purple and black. This is where right now I see the two fastest racers. Almost looks like a yin and yang going on out there, because these racers are just equally spaced apart from each other. As we kind of continue here, I can kind of see that, we got a bad wreck there. A couple cars involved in that. Seems that there's a battle for third place brewing here between Nathaniel Burden, Paul Woosley, and Eddie Burden, all relatively close to each other. Eddie on the far out lane there on white, so probably going to start losing laps most likely because how long white is. But I feel like it's always good to, in the middle of the race, to catch red and white because that's usually when people are in their prime. Early on, you definitely don't want to be in red and white, and I would say this is early on as people are still getting a grip of kind of understanding how to drive the car and getting their mold. But I would say by the third heat usually is about when you'd want to land in red or white. So Eddie's in a good position here to turn decent laps towards the end of this heat and be able to actually have quite a substantial come out onto some of the center lanes, as when it really is good to be in those center lanes to be able to turn the faster lap times. Because when everybody's running the track and not coming off, you can really put the power down and not have to worry as much. But early on in a race, it seems like people are kind of still got their nerves about them. They've not really settled in. And towards the end of it, everybody's kind of getting tired-eyed and probably dizzy, if anything, from racing this tri-oval. So I think they're both set up. Him and Jason both are set up pretty well, being on red and white currently, to be able to turn good laps later on. Glenn Burton kind of surprised me that he isn't higher up right now. I had a friend of mine before the race started, and he asked me who I thought was going to be in contention for this race. And I told him, I said, well, it'll be within three guys, I would say, Glenn, Paul, and Tim. And then my possible would have been Bo, as Bo's been running really good here lately in the Cup Series and in the GRC. Also, he's got quite a few races under his belt in GRC. But let that not be a holdout for Nathaniel, Eddie, or Jason for that matter, because Nathaniel's actually got a win here. Eddie's got a podium here, and Jason. But yeah, or Jason for that matter. Don't sign any of these guys out. As I said, they're in good positions. Eddie and Jason both are in good positions to come out of this and be in the middle lanes, turning quite a few faster lap times. As we take a look at some of the data that we have now that we see Tim and both Bo have ran purple lane, you can kind of see the spread that's took place between Tim and Bo. So Tim turning quite a few more laps than Bo. So one would suspect that Tim, fixing to go into black now, would possibly turn 66 laps maybe if the trend continues. Everybody else relatively close, 55, 56, 56, 56, turning about an average of the higher 50s. So with all that, average laps you can see there to your right, as low as 51 all the way to 64 with Tim, was just an outlier beyond Bo with 58.5. But they'll take a 3-minute intermission working on their cars, and we'll be back with you. All right, we're about to get back underway. 5 seconds left to go. So Bo and Yellow really needing to get that mean time up. Paul Woosley now in third place, starting to get his mean times lower. Looks like Bo's car didn't take off there on Yellow. Something going on with Bo's car there. Can't hardly hear. Maybe you guys could hear. Well, since we got a little bit of time to talk here, I want to bring up you guys' attention to pinball. As you can see, these scores are from last month's. I need to actually update this, which I thought I did, but I didn't. I must have forgotten. Our scores have all been reset now, and it has all been updated. As we go to the track here, still waiting to see what's up with Bo's car. But yes, if you play pinball here at Lanes Raceway and you get a first place at the end of the week, we give 30-minute track time. If you get a first place at the end of the month, you can get a day's worth of track time, or you can enter into one of the races for free. It's just kind of a little incentive to play some pinball. Also, you get bragging rights up on the board to show everybody that you're a pinball wizard. We also hold pinball tournaments on Wednesday nights. We didn't this past Wednesday as we had a private event take place, but usually we do. As we're going back green racing here, they must have fixed the car of Bo's, and we'll see what's going on. His car's back underway there on Yellow as he tries to pick up some more time. We have a car coming off. It seems to be on white. That'd be Nathaniel Burden's car. As Bo gives up second position to now Paul. Paul Woosley there on purple, really cranking out the laps there on purple, giving it his best that he can. If we look at Paul just a little bit, we can kind of see he's letting off just a hair early there in purple to stay on pace time. But these smaller lanes are quite hard to figure out going into it. But you see how Tim drives his just a hair deeper. That's giving him just a little bit more of an advantage there as the race goes on. here into the full screen mode here. See a good move there by Paul Woosley, passing Bo there on the inside. I reiterate that it is always the person on the outside to watch the person on the inside, as the person on the inside is supposed to turn as fast as they can go. So if you're on the outside, you know, and they hit you, it's really your fault for not letting them go by on the straight stretch. You don't have to, of course. You know, rubbing's racing, they say, but gets put back there on black. Tim just in what seems to be another class compared to these guys right now. His car really, wow, what a wreck. Tim hit Paul Woosley solid there off of black, full throttle even. I couldn't imagine that car not being bent, but maybe it isn't. That was a solid hit, hard hit. Looks like Tim broke out on that lap too, so maybe had a rider possibly. Both him and Paul both running very competitive laps here. You see Bo trying to press the factor there on purple, but Paul Woosley and Tim Hall both running very, very competitive laps that time. Let's take a look at that actually. Paul Woosley on purple turning 62 laps. Tim Hall turning 65 laps on purple, excuse me. Very, very close, competitive laps there. So both of these guys' cars running very smooth here lately. And if we look in comparison to where they were on blue lane, Paul Woosley with 60 and Tim with 63, for the full heat, about 3 laps down. 30 seconds left to go before we do another lane rotation here. Paul Woosley on black lane, Glenn Burton on purple, Tim Hall on yellow, Jason Howard on blue, Bo McPherson on orange, Eddie Burden on green, and Nathaniel Burden on red. Nathaniel, in my opinion, right now is in a great position to be on red. as we're midway. I love landing on red or white midway. And as you can tell with 7 riders, it's always a treat to land midway on red because you're there alone. So as long as everybody's got their head and wits about them, it should go fairly well for Nathaniel making up quite a few laps on red. Best way to kind of keep your head about these races is that you got to run each lane as if it is the only lane that you're running. So, for instance, red lane, you need to run red lane as if everybody is running red lane. That way that you turn the most laps on red, because at the end of it, the data shows that, if you turn 1 lap more on red than everybody else, well, you're basically gaining a lap on everybody on the field. And this is for every lane in that aspect. That's why towards the end you can kind of tell by the laps and by how they're turning their lap times approximately if they're going to be able to be caught or not. We got a little bit of glitch in the system there, but I heard a big wreck happen. Now, as for where that car is, I guess it maybe went off the track possibly. Looks like Paul Woosley's car. Could be wrong about that. It's kind of hard to see right at the moment. So yeah, it was Paul Woosley's car getting placed there on the crook of the track there. Oof, we got a hard hit there by Paul Woosley. Slammed the guy there in his lane off the crook. I believe that to be Glenn Burden possibly involved in that wreck. Just by the look of the car. I know Glenn drives a dark blue colored car, but at this moment I don't know for sure if that's Glenn or not. But while they're fixing the car, we kind of go over the lap times here and the medians. The last laps taken, 1.855, 1.884 between Paul Woosley and Tim Hall, and Glenn Burden turning a 1.898. As you can see, these guys are on the inside bottom lanes there, Paul Woosley and Glenn Burden, going to turn relatively low lap times there. In the median section of the laps, this is where it kind of matters more than anything. This is an average of all laps taken. Paul Woosley there with a 1.9, Tim Hall with a 1.87 on yellow, which is kind of surprising of turning that kind of lap speed on a yellow versus black or a purple. As you see, black and purple there trailing by a couple tenths of a second. But that just goes to show you how Tim has his car dialed in right now. It's about to cluster up there on black, purple, and yellow as they all three kind of run neck and neck with each other. You see Tim Hall making a pretty good move there by not trying to pass purple because he knows the rules. Some guys, they don't know the rules as they'll try to pass anyway. You also see Tim Hall there taking the pass on yellow. Guys getting really excited out there. As our medians haven't changed much between Paul Woosley and Tim Hall. Tim Hall running a 1.89 and Paul Woosley trailing right there with them. Glenn Burden even in the mix also on purple running 1.93. All three of these guys running neck to neck here, neither giving an inch. I do hear a car slipping gear going around the crook of the track or around the dead man's corner. As it progresses, when the lap change takes place, somebody needs to take care of that. It seems like it might have been possibly Nathaniel Burden with that loose gear. It was just a matter of time before that was going to happen, as whenever you start hearing gears make noise, it doesn't take long for them to go ahead and start squealing a little bit louder. So they'll take care of that really quick. It's a pretty quick fix for a car, just to tighten the gear up a little bit, put a little mesh into it. See Eddie Burden there putting Bo's car back on orange there. As Bo running a 2.08, a couple hundredths off of the pace here. Jason Howard running 2.03. Nathaniel Burton 2.21, and Eddie Burden with 2.16. All those are the guys with the medians of 2. But Tim Hall and Paul Woosley's car and Glenn Burden's car really running spectacular, running in the 1.8, 1.9 range. As we can see, Paul Woosley currently holding the best lap time of 1.812. It's pretty spectacular when you step back and think about it, that these cars are turning those kind of lap times. Now, this is our beginners class here at Lanes Raceway, but we do have faster cars even than this. And some of these cars are literally on the bleeding edge when it comes to going around that high bank corner. And just a small little infraction could be the difference between fixing a motor in a car or just fixing the brushes on some of these faster cars. I've seen them slam into our back wall, almost take the TV out. It's just a matter of days before I see that TV go black because there's a car imprinted inside of it. We go back racing, keeping an eye on both black, purple, and yellow, as these are our fast cars currently at the moment. Looks like Jason Howard came off the track there. Yellow seems to be reeling in, Tim Hall seems to be reeling in Paul Woosley here, but under closer inspection between black and yellow, we'll see how it goes. And another squeal of the gear there. That is actually a heat over. As we take a look at more of the data here, going to our front runners here, Tim Hall and Paul Woosley, yet another heat turn, and just the difference between 2 laps. Minute and 40 seconds till we go back green. Let's take a look at the parking lot. See if I clean that cobweb. Well, doesn't look like I cleaned the cobweb, and it looks like we have a spider out there taking up residence. We're a friend to nature here, so we'll leave that spider there to take out the mosquitoes possibly. Let's take a quick look in the pits. Well, the pits are kind of bare. You see Tim Hall up there in the top left corner, at least his torso anyway. And a mystery man here to the right, almost like they're hiding from the camera. The notorious Dead Man's Corner there, littered with sticker packs where the cars are going to be placed back on. It seems like everybody loves our VIP section over there. You kind of see in the top left corner, everybody crowded around the VIP section, working on cars. as we go back to our main camera here and see everybody getting their cars back underway, and see my dad there taking a set down with Granny there in the stands. Just a matter of time, and everybody be ready to go racing. 17 seconds till we go green. All right, looks like my dad's going to help me turn marshal. I think he's been turn marshaling this whole time. I haven't really been paying attention to turn marshal as much as I have cars. But the people to keep an eye on, Paul Woosley there on yellow and Tim Hall on orange as they race neck and neck here. Tim Hall got a great roll there through Dead Man's Corner. Got a little bit of a battle between Eddie Burden there and Jason Howard. Just a 2-lap gap. Even Nathaniel Burden there in that same run. We keep an eye on our front runners there. It seems that Paul Woosley was caught up in that accident, which anytime you're involved in an accident, you're going to lose a lap to the leader, as he does check up on that loss. Paul Woosley creeping up on purple and black. The intimidation must have been too much for purple and black to hold. Jason Howard and Glenn Burden, as one of them gave way. I couldn't really see by the video who it was, but one of them gave way and just wiped out the whole crew. So we see Paul Woosley there a little bit ahead of the guys now there in the crook of the track, catching back up with Tim Hall. Let's see if he can reel Tim Hall a lap in or so. Tim Hall is basically just running off and leaving them. Ooh, as we see there, Paul Woosley not wanting to get an inch, which you can't hardly blame him as he's running for second place. But purple crept up there. Jason Howard crept up on him and gave him a little bit of the horns. It looks like Tim Hall was involved in that accident, as Paul Woosley gained a couple car lengths there to maybe bring it back in within one for this heat rotation. As you see Paul Woosley there cranking just inches from being 2 laps behind. But doing a fairly well job of holding them off currently. It seems like possibly there on Orange Lane, just by a hair every other lap or so, you see Tim Hall kind of pushing her just a hair deeper than Paul Woosley. Paul Woosley there on yellow, just giving it everything that he's got and doing a good job. Both of them just racing neck and neck. A David versus Goliath type of battle going on out there. As the track power got cut off, you see Tim Hall got a little bit of a coast there, creeping up, adding another tick mark to his lead. As you see Paul Woosley really fighting back to get that lead back crushed in, trying to reel Tim Hall in. It seems every time he kind of gets up there, Tim Hall kind of drives her a little bit deeper on orange, keeping him at bay. As you got black here in the mix, which is Glenn Burton, really, his car's really shining right now, as he just runs off and leaves them both like they're sitting still. What a great run between these two guys. Titans in the industry, it seems. So we take a look at There are times now here, Paul Woosley on yellow doing 59 laps, and Tim Hall on black doing 64 laps. Seems every heat, Tim Hall has an advantage of people by, at the bare minimum, of 2 laps. And in some heats, even more so. Tim Hall running probably his best so far on yellow in comparison to everyone else. Currently, there is a battle for third place between Bo McPherson and Glenn Burton, as it is bowled down by 1 lap, and a battle for fourth place between Eddie Burton and Jason Howard, a battle between 1 lap. So we'll see how things shape up as we take more of a closer look for the battle for third in this next heat. All right, as we get ready, here we go. Let's take a look at third and fourth place this heat and see if there's anything that can be done. As we get a yellow flag here, there must be someone still trying to get their car ready. All right, here we go. So this battle between Glenn Burden and Bo McPherson, within 1 lap of each other. Bo on the red lane, going to be kind of hard to get those laps, especially coming off right there, losing a couple laps there even. Glenn Burden really churning them out there on yellow. Everybody kind of in their groove currently, racing, not coming off. These guys are getting used to these GRCs. And right before the season starts even. So there'll be 12 lucky guys or gals that will be able to get into this season. And also our prestigious Fairview IT Cup Series. We're currently in question whether or not we're going to do the same for the IndyCar Series. But we will have the series up and going within the month. As we see Glenn now with a 4-lap lead on Bo. The next closest battle would be on purple and black. We can take a look at that real quick as it's within 2 laps. Eddie Burden and Jason Howard. Let's see how they're running on purple and black. So you see purple there, trying to inch them in there on black. It's going to be kind of hard to reel that in, being that black's a little bit shorter than purple. But these guys running really close together with each other with a median of 1.96 and 1.97. These guys are basically running the same lane. Looks like Tim Hall wrecked there on Dead Man's Corner. And Jason Howard also in Dead Man's Corner, getting put back on black. Not what Jason wanted to see as he's trying to reel in the next victim, I guess you would say. Since Jason first started a couple weeks back, I can see a tremendous improvement on him as Jason gives Eddie Burden the steel bullhorns there. But I can see that, his first couple races I've seen him in, there's quite a few wrecks, which is to be expected when you're learning a new hobby. But now, watching him race this on black lane, currently at this given time, running the fastest, best lap time, he's really coming into his own in this sport. And I don't think it'll be much before he's up there on that podium stand or in the victor's lane. Nathaniel Burden seeming to be having somewhat of a rough night. Nathaniel Burden actually taking home a win, if I'm not mistaken, a week, maybe 2 weeks ago here at Lanes Raceway in the GRC class. But it seems like today he's kind of had some issues with his gears and stuff like that. And it happens as you put a little wear on these cars. The tires, they get a little wore out. When the tires get wore out real bad, the back end of the car tends to drag sometimes. And I will tell you this, there was 4 guys today in tech that just barely had enough tire on their rear to make it where they could pass under the tech tool. So, I know starting the next race, there's going to be quite a few guys buying tires. So go to the track mate here and take a look at black and purple lane, pretty fleshed out. Shows that Tim Hall's in the lead on both of those lanes, followed real closely by Paul Woosley running consecutive 62 and 62. Then Glenn Burden there was 62 and 63. Between these 3 guys here, just phenomenal looking on all lanes. But Tim Hall, somewhat of an alien when it comes to the rest of these guys, as he has quite a few laps on everybody. I don't think he's been beat not one time by any of these racers tonight on any of these laps or any of these lane rotations. Currently holding the best lap on every single turn. So I would say with just 2 heats left to go, we can solidify Tim Hall as first place unless something catastrophic happens and he blows his motor. All right, as we rounded up 7 of 8 heats here, let me get us back on the track here. I had to take a quick break real quick. So right out of the gate, as we look here, got somewhat of a battle between Eddie Burden and Jason Howard still. Both of them running 10 laps. Eddie Burden on the black lane with a better median currently of a tenth of a second on Jason each lap. We'll see if this changes anything, if Jason can come up above it and maybe take that 5th position from Eddie Burden. Both setting comfortably right now in the 4th position. Pretty much equal median time with Glenn Burden. As Glenn Burden takes a seat there in 3rd place. And Paul Woosley sitting comfortably there in 2nd place at the current time. But this heat right here might actually change that, as he's only 4 laps within reach to Paul Woosley. And Paul Woosley, being on one of the longer lanes, is going to have quite a hard time in keeping those lap times consecutive. So we see the median of 0.2 of a second per lap loss between Glenn and Paul Woosley. And this is substantial, as you might see a 2nd place change here within this heat. So he's got it within 2 laps now. Paul Woosley actually caught up in that. So that's pretty devastating for Paul Woosley in 2nd place. As you see Eddie Burden there getting put back on black lane. Paul Woosley getting put behind the lap counters. He didn't get counted for that lap at 17 laps. Tim Hall just having a phenomenal night, turning 20 laps already on red lane, competitive with some of the lower lanes, even like purple and black. Really putting a show out there for red lane. All right, I believe we're about to go green again. And here we go. Paul Woosley currently staving off the Wolves against Glenn Burden. But then he comes off the track there as we have a glitch in the system and kind of gives us a slow motion look at it. Paul Woosley falling to the bottom of the track there, getting pushed back up on white. Paul Woosley going to block his car and see what's up. Maybe there's a bend or something happening. As it's brought within 1 lap now between him and Glenn Burden. So it's almost for sure that the 2nd place is going to be given up by Paul Woosley and given into Glenn, which he's held 2nd place for quite some time. But as I told you guys, whenever you get on the higher lanes, they're a couple feet longer, and it seems like Paul Woosley is going to drop to 3rd place. And before it's all said and done, if continuing the trend, Bo McPherson may actually take Paul from the podium, because Paul will be going to red lane after this, and that's the longest lane we have on this track. Back underway here. Median lap times have not changed, so we have 1 minute left. There will be a swap between Glenn Burden and Paul Woosley before this is over with, as it currently only takes approximately 2 seconds to run a lap. and the change is about to take place. And there it is. Glenn Burden now taking over second position from Paul Woosley on white. We get a track call there as a car falls to the bottom of the track in the high bank. Tom Payton, IndyCar racer here at Lanes Raceway, putting the car back on green behind the lap counter so that Bo McPherson can get his lap there. We're currently streaming live on Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube. If you find yourself watching this, give us a thumbs up, a like, or anything like that. Share us around, and we hope to bring more camera shots, more interviews and stuff as we progress through the series this year. And we sure would like it if you guys would subscribe and like the channel so that you're kept up to date when we have these races. Currently, we are closed Monday and Tuesday, and Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday tend to be somewhat of our busy days. Thursday here, quite busy for the GRC race, and Sunday also quite a busy day for GRC and the Cup Series. Saturday we race IndyCar, and Friday we race IndyCar. It's a different kind of race as the heat's over there. We're going to take a look at the track mate, kind of do a little bit of data logging here to see if Tim's still holding on to every heat having the highest lap turnout. And it seems that he's tied with Bo McPherson on white lane, but still yet, out of every lane, he has held the lead. So he's outclassing people currently, and this happens from time to time. What will happen is whenever the series starts, of course, we take 12 names, and that puts Tim pretty much at the high list for when the series starts, whether or not he wants to be in the GRC series or not. But he'll be put to the top list because he has several wins here at Lanes Raceway. Glenn Burden has several podiums, and so does Paul Woosley. Nathaniel Burden, another one that has a win here at Lanes Raceway. And Bo McPherson, a promising young man that comes down here and races also in the Cup Series, and he's won a Cup Series race here, and he's got quite a few podiums under his belt also. So we got quite a few people here that have podiumed and finished well in the race. Jason Howard, Eddie Burden, everybody here, I believe, has been on a podium now here at Lanes Raceway. Everybody getting settled in with 25 seconds left to go until we start the next race. Supposed to be a dual GRC race tonight. We'll see how everybody feels after this race. If we can get enough to run the next race, or if it will just be a split up like it was last week. Last week we had several people leave, and on a GRC dual race night, the way that it works is you have to run both races to be counted in for the 50% split pot. We hear a squeal from the cars out there. There's a bad gear going on. It may make it through the heat and it may not, as this is the last heat of the race. Glenn Burden now on white lane, Paul Woosley on red. Something to watch here. If Paul Woosley really does crank it home, he could take that position back from Glenn Burden, even though he is on the higher red lane. But he would really have to be chugging along for that to take place, as the advantage is still in Glenn's court with the lower lane. Bo McPherson and Eddie Burden here, as you see, a tight race between them two for fourth position. And not to mention that Bo McPherson, if he really does race hard here, has a chance to take Paul Woosley from third position. As he can turn more laps there on blue, as he can carry more of that speed. So something to keep an eye on as we finish this. It's still anybody's game for third position, as it seems Tim Hall took a hard shot there into the wall. Bo McPherson currently 2-second median time, with Paul Woosley currently at a 2.23. This is substantial, and if this is kept up, you will see a change between Paul Woosley and Bo McPherson, as it's within 4 laps currently. As we see Glenn Burden there coming off on white. This is kind of what Paul Woosley's wanting to see. He's wanting to see more wrecks from Glenn Burden so that he can take that second position back. Both of these guys racing with heart. It's really a race down between these three fellas here, depending on how the median times go. So Paul Woosley there, 4:37, just trying to stave off the wolves between Bo McPherson. As we catch another wreck there, it looked like Paul Woosley that time on red. These guys are really feeling the pressure here as we turn in the last 39 seconds of this race. And we get a track call here, trying to see who it was that come off the track. I think they said it was Nathaniel Burden there off of black. But Bo McPherson turning in 42 laps to Paul Woosley's 37 and Glenn Burden's 36. So Paul Woosley gaining a lap there on Glenn Burden from the wreck. Bo McPherson just really giving it all he can. And this 37 seconds, it's going to be a nail-biter between Paul Woosley and Bo McPherson. If Bo keeps his nerve and doesn't come off, he could unseat Paul Woosley from third place. We have another wreck here. Oh, and it's not what you wanted to see. Bo McPherson there coming off. It's Glenn Burden also. That's exactly what Paul Woosley wants to see. As we're back underway. 25 seconds left, and it's pulled within a lap and a half between Paul Woosley and Bo McPherson. And we got a big wad up here. It looks like Tim Hall and maybe Jason Howard. I tell you, people, it's going to come down to the wire on this. It's within 1 lap with 6 seconds left to go between Paul Woosley and Bo McPherson. Can he pull it off through a coast here and have another coast finish? They're on the same lap, but as we look, Paul Woosley there on red and Bo McPherson wasn't able to pull it off, it doesn't seem. But what a race. Look at the difference between these fellas. One in Dead Man's Corner, I believe. What a race. So we take a quick look here at the final lap counts here. Tim Hall in first place. Glenn Burden in second, and I believe Paul Woosley was able to stave it off, but we'll go to the track marshals for further comment to see if Paul was able to hold Bo off, or if Bo was able to get that final little bit and take Paul off the third place podium. I'll pause for a moment as I go and find out myself. So I just got word that from the far side of Dead Man's Corner into the crook of the track, it looks that Paul Woosley was able to hold it off right there by the start finish line against Bo McPherson at Dead Man's Corner. But it's always exciting to see a race come down to almost the coast. So those guys really gave their heart out there, and in my eyes, both of them deserve a podium. As we shape up this next race and see if anybody else is going to race, I'm going to close the stream currently now, and I'll start another one back if we end up having a race on the orange track. And this is Donovan Kirtley, and thank